This is Optimal Living Daily Relationships, episode 121, a guide for all of us, getting good at storytelling and other superhuman social skills, part 1, by Babauta of Zen Habits, and&nbsp. Welcome. I'm Joss Marie, your host and personal narrator, right here on the Relationships edition of Optimal Living Daily. This is the show where I read to you from a variety of relationship blogs every Monday through Friday for free. We cover a wide range of relationship topics on this show, from coping with common challenges of parenting to understanding the science behind asking someone out. And of course, it's always with permission from the authors. Today, I have the first part of a two-part post by Babauta all about mastering social skills. So make sure and come on back again tomorrow to hear the second part of this post. That'll be episode 122. Also, Justin Mullick features Babauta pretty frequently over on Optimal Living Daily too. For those of you who may not know, Optimal Living Daily is one of the other shows in our podcast network. So please consider checking out and subscribing to that show too, if you'd like to hear blog posts about personal development being narrated to you for free. To do so, simply search for Optimal Living Daily from wherever you're listening to this show, or come by oldpodcast.com/listen. And with that, let's hear the first part of Leo's post today and continue optimizing your life. A guide for all of us, getting good at storytelling and other superhuman social skills. Part 1 by Babauta of Zen Habits, and&nbsp. Let's face it, most of us aren't amazing social ninjas, good at working any social situation, let alone comfortable telling a captivating story in front of a crowd. It would be great if there were a manual that taught us the key social skills for being good at parties, talking to strangers, making amazing friendships. Luckily for us losers, my friend Tynan has written a new book, Superhuman Social Skills, and I honestly think it's fantastic. I know I'm biased, but after reading it, I believe it's something pretty much every human being should read. We're not given a manual for learning social skills, and so we face so many problems because of it, from social anxiety to loneliness. A bit of background on Tynan. He was a social loser into adulthood. Seriously. Asked to see his color guard photos. Then he got into the pickup artist community. I know they often sound like scumbags, but he isn't one, and honed his social skills to get better at talking to women. What resulted from that, plus traveling the world and meeting lots of people, is that he has had a good number of really good friends. I'm the best one of them, but there are other good ones too, and is comfortable in lots of social situations. I consider myself socially awkward, and reading his book gave me a sense of excitement that I could improve. I've recommended the book to my kids who are entering adulthood because I think it'll give them a big boost. But, except for the most socially skilled of my friends, I think everyone I know should read this book. I asked Tynan if I could interview him about some of the key social skills he talks about, including the one that I find most fascinating and useful. Storytelling. Leo, who do you think needs help with social skills? Tynan, I think we can all improve our social skills in one way or another. For some people, it might be a case of diminishing returns, but I don't think that's true of most. Because social skills aren't taught through normal avenues of learning like school or through peers, most people don't actively work on improving them. That means that a lot of us have plenty room for improvement that can be capitalized on through proactive learning. Leo, why is this such a difficult problem to solve? Tynan, social skills feel more like integral parts of us than external skills like playing the piano, so there's a lot of ego involved. To really improve them often involves a level of humility that can be uncomfortable. Another effect of this discomfort is that people don't talk about social skills. If you and I were both learning to program, we would talk about our challenges and share learning resources. But with social skills, you don't really see much of that. Leo, how did you solve it? What changes did you see in your life as a result? Tynan, The big first step for me was becoming involved in the pickup community. I was an introverted nerd who was completely clueless with women, and that led to me humbling myself and building my social skills from the ground up. I was focused on dating, but may have benefited even more in other areas, from making friends to interacting with my family. My experience with pickup helped me see social skills as something that could be improved upon, and I began to look at things like making friends, telling stories, and interacting with my friend group through a similarly analytical lens. Leo, there are a ton of tips in your book. Where should someone start? Tynan, I think it really varies from person to person. We all have our strengths and weaknesses, and the distribution of them seems to be fairly uniform. But for someone who doesn't have a good idea of what his weaknesses are, I'd suggest either working on storytelling or on identifying his annoying habits. Storytelling is a universal skill that can have a huge impact on others, and annoying habits are often the difference between a friendship being created or not. Leo, without giving away the book, can you share some top tips for becoming a better storyteller? Tynan, I'm not sure I've ever met anyone who makes their stories too short. I've met a lot who make their stories way too long. It's fun to tell a story, so we all have a tendency to bask in that and draw it out as long as possible. Really, though, it's better to give people the juicy bits of a story and then move on to something else. They'll always ask if they want more information. Give a minimum of introduction, build up the tension, and then hit them with the payoff of the story. Remember that if you make your stories too long, either by going on tangents, repeating yourself, or adding too much detail, people won't want to hear more stories in the future because they'll worry that you won't stop talking. On the other hand, if you always keep your stories short and sweet, you'll be asked to tell more of them. Leo, what are some common annoying habits that people often have that maybe they aren't aware of? How does someone create awareness of their annoying habits? Tynan, I think a lot of the most common annoying habits stem from not understanding the natural flow of conversation. I'm always surprised at how many people dominate conversations without receiving any sort of indication that the other party is happy to just sit and listen passively. As a general rule of thumb, you should be prepared to fill in any dead spot in the conversation, but should allow the other person to talk as much as they want to. A conversation between two socially savvy people will almost always hover at a 1-to-1 ratio of each party speaking. Leo, why do you think storytelling is such a key skill for most of us social losers? Tynan, stories are the means by which we communicate our experiences, and our experiences have shaped us into who we are today. So by telling stories, you're effectively communicating who you are as a person and how you became that way. To really become good friends with someone, you can't just share facts or opinions. You have to share yourself, and stories are how you do that. To be continued. You just listened to part 1 of the post titled, A Guide for All of Us, Getting Good at Storytelling and Other Superhuman Social Skills, by Leo Babauta of zenhabits.net. I hope you enjoyed part 1 of this post as much as I did. I have to admit, I'm always thrilled when I see Leo's name in the weekly lineup. It's truly an honor to narrate his content. And for those of you who may be interested in hearing more of Leo's posts being narrated to you for free, you should check out Optimal Living Daily. Justin Mullick is the host and narrator of that podcast, and he actually features Leo pretty frequently over there. To check it out, just search for Optimal Living Daily from wherever you're listening to this show, or come by oldpodcast.com/listen. Thank you so much for subscribing and for joining me here today. I hope you have a wonderful Monday, and don't forget to come on back tomorrow for part 2 of Leo's post, where your optimal life awaits.
Hello, Life Optimizer. This is Justin Mullick, creator and producer of this podcast, but also Optimal Living Daily, the show where I read to you from even more blogs covering finance, productivity, minimalism, personal development, and more from incredible bloggers like Derek Sivers, Zen Habits, Mark and Angel, The Minimalists, and all the ones you hear on this show too. So if you enjoyed today's episode and like taking amazing blogs on the go, come on over to Optimal Living Daily and subscribe to that one too. And together, we'll start optimizing your life.
You've been listening to Optimal Living Daily. Be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay up to date on each new episode, and head to oldpodcast.com. That's OLDpodcast.com for a free gift, as well as more actionable tips and resources to help you maximize your potential. Thanks for joining us, and remember, your optimal life awaits.